Hey everybody, welcome to certainly a very surprising edition of Inside Indiana Overtime. I'm Alex McCarthy, Seth Tao. We're here at the Henke Hall of Champions overlooking Memorial Stadium. Today was a few hours ago, Indiana Athletics sent out a release saying that there's going to be a major announcement at 6 p.m. Quickly, the Indianapolis Star broke their story that the press conference was to announce the dismissal of Indiana head coach Kevin Wilson. Officially, it's a resignation. Indiana held this press conference to accept Wilson's resignation and also to promote defensive coordinator Tom Allen to the head coaching job. No interim tag, nothing like that. Fred Glass said it's going to be a 6-year deal, but
we'll get to out and specified permanent head coach.
Yeah, so we'll get to Allen in a minute. But basically today, a lot of kind of bickering between former players, a lot of talk from current players about just kind of Kevin Wilson's treatment of players, especially injured players, his toughness on them, and whether or not he really went through all of the appropriate measures to make sure players were staying healthy and make sure that they were fully healthy to participate. Mark Schlabach of ESPN was talking about a player last year who was concussed and who was rushed back last year, just kind of scrambled a little bit. There was a lot of, the reactions on Twitter from former players especially were very polarizing. It was either, Kevin Wilson's great and he was so good to me, or Kevin Wilson is basically not a good person, as a couple of people said.
Right, and the fact that this news just came out of nowhere really added to the polar shock. Just such a stark difference. I mean, you had guys like Dominic Booth saying he was probably the loudest among all the former players in saying that Kevin Wilson didn't treat players right. I mean, even last night he was kind of hinting, it flew under the wire a little bit with everything that was happening with basketball, but he kind of hinted last night that he wasn't keeping his mouth shut anymore, and he seemed to be pretty happy with the news.
Yeah.
And then there were guys like Shane Wynn who came out and were in full support of Kevin Wilson and were shocked by this news, just as shocked as we were.
Yeah. And the current players were also shocked. A lot of them found out on Twitter. They were not really. This seemed like a fairly sudden thing. I mean, Fred Glass said tonight, this press conference we just watched, that he, going to bed last night, he knew what he was going to say to Kevin Wilson in the morning. Basically, that their differences were too insurmountable to keep going on. He called them philosophical differences, but kind of declined to say specifically what those differences were. There was a lot of dancing done up there at the podium tonight, just in terms of what those differences were. But this definitely seemed to be, and he said there wasn't one precipitating event that caused it, but that it's just kind of built up over time, and this is where they found themselves.
What I found interesting was he said that they were just fortunate to have it work out, that they could play out the regular season and then have this happen, that they weren't really on any time frame, so this could have really happened at any point.
Yeah. So it is fairly convenient timing, I guess, for the program, and
right, it works out because this is a typical time that if you're gonna let a coach go, but who knows? This would have probably been an even bigger story if these philosophical differences came to light again a couple weeks ago.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, mid-season that would have been quite a circus. But Fred Glass kind of didn't really hesitate to pull the trigger on Tom Allen. He said that he talked to Kevin Wilson at around 8:30 this morning, and then talked to Tom Allen at like 10. So he basically, and Tom Allen said that they hadn't talked about this before. This wasn't a plan of any kind. This wasn't anything that he expected. Certainly, he was out visiting recruits and commits and everything like that.
And Glass was quick to point out that the decision to hire Tom Allen and the decision to let Kevin Wilson go were independent.
Right.
They weren't letting Wilson go to be able to retain Tom Allen.
Yeah, and he said that even if Allen weren't the defensive coordinator right now, they would still have gone through with this, and they would be going through a national coaching search. But he said that his number one option was Tom Allen, and that he was here, and that it worked out conveniently for the program, as Glass said. And it does make sense. I mean, Allen certainly has made a lot of changes on the defensive side of the ball, just in terms of mentality and in terms of results. We've talked about that all year. We don't really need to get into the defensive improvements or anything like that, but Allen was saying that just kind of that whole mentality is his whole theory, or his whole mantra of LEO, of love each other. It's just kind of what he's going to bring to the team, and he's just kind of trying to expand that idea to both the offense and special teams and everything like that. But he said that they're still interested in playing the bowl game. Obviously, they're not going to turn down an invite or anything like that.
They're keeping the staff intact fully. Allen said he's still going to serve as the defensive coordinator.
Right, because there's really no
what else
reason
are you
to
going to do?
There is an open spot on the offensive coaching staff because Wilson kind of filled two roles at once. It's just kind of an additional offensive staff member and as the head coach. And Tom Allen said that they'll be filling that internally. Some of the GAs or assistants or somebody is going to be helping out with the offense. But those are not really the most important things going on today. But it was a very bizarre press conference because everyone kind of wanted to just hear about Wilson, and then they spent 20 minutes about Tom Allen. And it was very emotional on Tom Allen's part. His whole family was here, except for his son, who's an IU commit, who's still back in Florida.
You could tell his heart really broke for Kevin Wilson. He was getting pretty emotional.
Yeah, right off the bat, he was kind of on the verge of tears about how much this means to him. Obviously, he's from the state of Indiana. He was a high school football coach in Indianapolis and has a lot of ties in the area. So, and he repeatedly said that his heart is broken for Kevin Wilson and his family and how everything turned out. And Fred Glass kind of said the same thing of they appreciated how much Wilson has done for the program and the relationship that they've had, but at a certain point the differences were too much to overcome. And one of the early questions to Glass was, if there were these deep philosophical issues, why did you extend Kevin Wilson 10 months ago, or whatever it was, in January? And he said and Glass said that he basically thought that these struggles were behind them and that they had moved past them, but apparently not. So that's where Indiana is right now. They'll still be playing the bowl game, looking to win that, looking to finish over 500 for the first time in almost a decade. Was there anything else that stood out to you, or are we missing anything from what happened to that?
Tom Allen comes in here, and he seems to have a clear grasp on how to keep the program moving forward. And it's important to note that he's keeping the staff, but he did, for the bowl game, he did say that after the bowl game and after the season, he's going to reevaluate, so nothing is set in stone for 2017.
Right, absolutely. And that was kind of what the vision was in general before this, is when they hired him, they basically said he was the head coach of I think they use that phrase tonight again too, the head coach of the defense, that it was totally under his control, and even more so now. So that's what's going on here. We'll see what the fallout is in the coming days, weeks, months, everything like that. But for now, that's about it. Seth Tao, I'm Alex McCarthy. Thanks for watching, and we will talk to you soon.